A very good morning, very good afternoon, and a very good evening to everybody who's watching the broadcast live today. Welcome to yet another Q&A session. Today's broadcast is going to focus, as always, on things to do with the topic of Hinduism. So, if you're watching this broadcast for the very first time, I wish to welcome you to the broadcast. Let me just quickly tell you how this broadcast will operate. We start at 2 o'clock every Saturday. It runs for about 50 to 55 minutes. We do start with a focus topic. Today's topic is going to be on the role of sports in religion. And we will discuss this for about 20, 25 minutes or so, then go into the general Q&A. Now, how can you participate? So you may be on youtube.com/Hindu Academy, or you may be watching us over on facebook.com/Hindu Academy. Either way, please feel free to like, share, and then get into the conversation by leaving your comments, your thoughts, and your questions in the chat area. And I will pick them up from there, and we will attempt to answer your questions live on air. So today, I have my team here with me. We've got Manish Bhai, Vijay Bhai, Sita Ben. Welcome to today's call. Folks, we will get started with today's Q&A focus topic video, and then I will come back and we will get started with this.
Is the Indian cricket team or the Bollywood industry a good example of Hindus and Muslims living harmoniously?
Okay, any system that allows people to coexist honestly and sincerely and in a if you like, in a loving manner is worthwhile, whether it's cricket or Bollywood. I'm not against that. But suppose you to ask me, at the moment the most popular features in Indian, in the Indian subcontinent is either cricket or Bollywood. Most of the youth are attracted to either Bollywood or cricket or both of them. Suppose you say which is better, I would say cricket. The reason is this: with cricket, this is the idea. You what's the aim of cricket? To master your physical being, to be able to hit sixers and really strong and upright and really fight and fire. So in a way, it strengthens you, it empowers you. So cricket or sports in general are empowering exercises. So sports, I would say, are good. If somebody says, I don't believe in religion, I just like to play cricket or football, I say, go for it. Through that process, you become spiritual, without reference to a god or religion or Hinduism. So any activity that, how do you distinguish whether you're making progress? It empowers you, makes you feel stronger about yourself. So when you see your hero hitting a sixer, you go, yeah, it's empowering you. So it is much better thing to do than, say, the Bollywood phenomena. Why am I so anti-Bollywood? Is simply this: sports and if you like empowers you, makes you stronger. Bollywood turns you into quivering animals. Ah, that sweet girl. Ah, you start quivering like quivering animals. It reduces your dignity. Sports increase your dignity, and Bollywood decreases your dignity. So I'm saying anything that takes you towards becoming more dignified, follow that. But the other one, watch it.
So there we go. We have a really interesting topic to cover today. And sports and religion, now basically throughout human history, sports and religion have always been closely linked. And like religion, sports conveys important lessons about values and culturally appropriate behavior. The lessons they teach are similar, and both religion and sports use symbols as their primary means of communication. So in most of the contemporary world, however, they both occupy separate but complementary conceptual realms. So religion focuses on the idea that there is something more to the world than meets the eye. In religion, that something is the domain of the spirit or the divine. And in sport, that something is the triumph of human spirit. So to discuss this further, I'd like to bring on my team. We've got Manish Bhai, Sita Ben, and Vijay Bhai, who will carry on the conversation from here. Manish Bhai, welcome to the broadcast. I know you play quite a range of sports, and you're quite a passionate person when it comes to sports. What's your take on the whole topic?
Hi, Nisit bhai. Yes, I don't play range of sports, but I'm very much into cricket. And I'm very passionate about cricket, and it has empowered me. I believe I've made many friends, and I've got involved in the activities where I involve with many people. I have become a captain of my Sunday team, and it's helped me grow as a person and make me really empowered, and it fill me with confidence. And that's why I feel very passionate about sports. And I agree with Jay by saying that it empowers you and it makes you strong. So
absolutely, it does make you want to do much better, rise above your current wherever you are, increase your level. And I think a little bit of friendly competition never hurts anybody to stretch your boundaries. And I found, especially in team sports, that a little bit of competitive banter and that push to each other always helps you do better. But then how does it tie in with the topic of the day, which is how does it tie in with religion?
Yes, as Jay Bhai said, it empowers you, makes you strong. And I think it brings people together. So it's like my team. We have Indian, Pakistanis, even white people, all playing together, all having that banter, all having that fun. And it's bringing that oneness, it's, feeling good factor and making you strong. So it's uplifting you spiritually, but then would it, how far it will take you? I'm not too sure. That's where I think Vijay Bhai and Sita Ben can help me with that. So Vijay Bhai?
Yeah, I mean, regarding sports in general, it's very empowering. I can give you my example. I used to play a lot of cricket, not as much now, but in school. And every time I say, why can't I bowl better? I have to try and bowl better. So I should try and practice at home. So my mind was focused on improving, self-improvement. In batting as well, why can't I play this stroke? I must plan. I keep on trying it. So my mind was totally focused. I had nothing else to worry about. Like, all this Bollywood was not even in the picture. I was totally focused on how to get a better batsman. And also I couldn't throw that well, that far enough. So funny enough, I started in the gym as well. You'd be surprised, just to get my arms stronger so I could throw further. So in effect, the motivation you have to get better and better makes you do things, right? And try and focus. So this is a kind of focus. I mean, the same thing in religion as well. We have to focus, we have to discipline ourselves, try and move spiritually. So in many ways, there's a lot of similarity. Discipline, continuous improvement, focus, all that is same in religion. So in effect, all these things you learn kind of helps you build yourself mentally and physically to take those ideas into the spiritual realm. So in that sense, they're both very closely tied. I mean, currently I play some badminton, not for a few weeks now. And I like the idea that you try again, I should try this stroke, that stroke. And you're always challenging yourself. Why can't I play this stroke? Why can't I do that, right? Like that. So depending on what sports you do, when I do long runs, I look at the trees and I feel, wow, look at this. So you feel spiritual as well. So many activities you do makes you this idea that there's something more you can do, achieve better. And that's the key goal. And same thing applies to religion. I mean, regarding Bollywood, I mean, personally, I don't watch much. I think it's all mafia run and whatever. Maybe I'm being biased, but it's not my forte really. I have to do some other interesting activities, but that's just me. Sita?
Oh, yeah, no, I think sports is a wonderful endeavor. It's really empowering. It can make you feel strong physically, mentally, emotionally in so many ways. And it's a way that you can connect with your community as well. So it's really wonderful. I mean, I personally, I'm not very good at sport, but the only thing that I really like is swimming. I love swimming. And I take my daughter swimming quite regularly, and she really enjoys it too. But yeah, it's something that makes you feel empowered. It makes you feel physically strong. And if you think about it, even the yoga system, which is meant to be about developing that physical strength and stamina, if you're able to maybe do it through a sport that you love, then what's wrong with that? It's wonderful. And it reminds me of a video that we sent out on our WhatsApp group a few days ago about the idea of playing football, because somebody came to Swami Vivekananda and said, you know, I'm sitting and meditating, and he looked very sick and miserable and all of that. And Vivekananda said, look, this path of meditation is just doesn't seem to be suited to your temperament. Why don't you just go out there and play football? And you can actually become spiritual through those kinds of endeavors. There's nothing to say that you can't become spiritual through these wonderful physical endeavors of sports, and because it's a kind of discipline as well. Every kind of endeavor which involves some kind of discipline is helping you physically, mentally, and emotionally. So why not go for it, whichever sport takes your fancy?
Mr. Bhai, you want to ask any further questions?
No, I just was interested in seeing the interaction between sports and religion, and it's just an interesting topic to explore. So I will hand it back to you to check, because I'm interested in listening to what the viewers have to say. I'm going to go online and check the comments.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Nisib Bhai. So what we see is sports, especially in England, many sports organizations are there, and even some religious organizations hold their sports activities to bring people together. Some charities do these marathon runs to help bring people together. So what is your take on this? Should religious organizations use sports as a tool to bring in that people and together, Vijay Bhai?
Absolutely, Manish. I mean, I can tell you that the local temples that we have here, one way they attract people coming in is because they have a pool table, they have little, court for playing table tennis, and kids come in the temple. Let's face it, they love this idea sport, but there's of course a hidden agenda behind it. When they do these activities, they build bonds as well among the participants, and that's very important as well, to build bonds, right? Community bonds. As Sita has mentioned so many times, happiness comes from bonding with people, right? As key message. So all that kind of activity help. So even they have a sports day, and our community has one. And where I come from, my village, they have their own community sports. Even all the villages from my community, they all get together as well one day. They have football, cricket, a tug of war, all that, and actually binds them together. I mean, so it's very good in that sense. I also know that I haven't been, but I know in my community we have they call them the cricket fan club, and they go in a gang to watch all these cricket matches. And when they go, they're always on the edge. What will happen? But they get so excited when they go together. I think they get some free tickets because they're going in a big group. I don't know how it works. But when they come, they're so elevated, so excited. They're living in a different mood altogether. So even watching sports can really excite you, And quite often you can see they're so nervous. What's going to happen and what's going to happen next? I hope he gets the strength to go through. I hope he's got the mental strength to keep up, So in effect, the person participating mentally, at least mentally and verbally, they also link to that person who's playing. So in effect, they're all involved, if not directly, indirectly, they're all involved in the same kind of activity. So it's a tremendous thing. I think it's a beautiful thing that we have this. And of course, the temple sports, they're very good, because a lot of children come in the temple. They won't come otherwise. Because the activities, they go, let me go there, I'll meet my friends. And okay, by the way, you're meeting your friends anyway, why don't you spend 5 minutes in the temple? So, okay. And that's how we get people in. So it's a really subtle link there, to get people to participate in these things. So it's a wonderful thing, I think. Yeah, Asita?
Yeah, and I think another wonderful thing is you can actually link the idea of sports to the idea of karma yoga, doing something good, because many times you see people doing marathon runs for charity, for, they raise funds for all sorts of wonderful charities and campaigns. And it's a wonderful way that you can raise awareness, get people to donate to a really good cause. So there's tremendous positive benefits when you sort of get together and do some kind of sporting activity. And even when you watch sporting activity, as Dad was saying, you just feel that sense of empowerment when, somebody scores a goal or something amazing. And also, even when you watch things like the Olympics, when you see these really professional athletes and they break a world record, and you just think, as Dad would often say, that's the spirit And even like a crass materialist would be inclined to say that's the spirit. What do you mean by that? It's because it's the spirit shining through. That's what we all intuitively are aware of. Even a materialist who doesn't even isn't aware of that sort of feeling, but they feel, oh, that's some kind of spirit there bubbling up, which is making me break these records and feel strong and empowered about myself.
That's so wonderful to hear. And Sitaben, you know, any sports, even athletics, to do really well and to do it at top level requires so much effort, so much focus, emphasis. It's like almost like a religion to them, to those who are, you know, in those sports. It's like their whole life is focused on this particular sports or activity that they want to do. And I wonder, you know, if it's making them spiritual in a sense, but why don't we see these people coming out and saying, oh, this has really gave me some real spiritual experience? Sitaben, any ideas?
Yeah, that's a really, really interesting idea. I mean, if you think about it, because it's a kind of a discipline, it's a kind of meditation, because meditation is a kind of discipline. And, you know, we often think of meditation as, you know, you sit cross-legged with your back straight and your eyes closed, and that's all you think that meditation is. But meditation can also be that sense of mindfulness that every moment of every activity you do, you put your full heart, you put your full effort into it. And it doesn't need to involve closing your eyes and sitting in a corner and meditating. It can be doing something very active in the world. And I guess we are yet to come across a prophet who has found a spiritual experience through cricket or football or whatever it is. But who knows? It could easily happen in the future. And maybe they're not even aware that they have had a spiritual experience. I find, you know, sometimes you just have a flicker of that kind of moment of oneness and stillness, and, you know, this sense of connectivity with people, which you can never really put words to. And it's very, very possible that all of us have had that kind of an experience, but we haven't even realized that that was actually a spiritual experience, that wonderful sort of, you know, intangible, you can't even express it. It's just such a beautiful feeling. And that's why people keep going back to that sport over and over again, because they want to sort of regain that wonderful spiritual feeling that they get through the endeavor of sports or whichever activity it is that they're doing. So it's possible that people have had these wonderful spiritual glimpses without even realizing it or knowing that this is a spiritual experience, but they feel uplifted, they feel charged up as a result. And I think probably the real sort of litmus test of, is this helping me on my spiritual journey or taking me away from my spiritual journey, is how do you feel at the end of it? You may feel physically tired and drained, but you feel amazing. You feel so uplifted, and you actually feel energized as a result of it mentally. So anything which makes you feel like that is probably taking you closer towards your true spiritual nature, and anything which takes you away from that is probably, you know, taking you away from your true spiritual nature, like sitting on the sofa eating chips. You don't feel very nice after that. So when you go out there and do something positive and achieve something amazing through the endeavor of sports or whatever it is, and you feel, oh yes, that's a real sort of litmus test of you're doing something right. And when you're sort of, you know, slumped on the sofa, not doing anything productive, you end up feeling a bit miserable. So go out there and do something positive, whatever it is. Vijay Pai?
I think Manish Bhai is an interesting question. I guess, as Sita says, I think they have that kind of experience, upliftment. They don't call it spirituality because quite a few people don't see that as the norm, but they feel disciplined, they feel uplifted, they feel, you know, charged up. That is, in a way, without using the word spirituality, they're in that sense feeling spiritual. I think that's kind of, I agree with that one, Sita. That's the main thing to add, I guess. Yeah. But yes, if you're doing anything with focus, then you're bound to ultimately get, you know, more mentally stronger, better. And generally you have less issues as well, like Sita mentioned. You don't feel lethargic, you don't feel, you know, down, depressed. Because you're always doing something, activity, passion. That drives it. Yeah. That's all I can add to that, Manish.
That's wonderful to hear, Vijay Bhai. So I'm hoping me being focused on cricket will help me at this stage. But it does, I'm very involved with many people, and it does make me feel really good about myself and empowers me, I think. Okay, Ali Sebastian's saying, Trafford Platonic works with community groups, school scouts, clubs, Women Institute, and also supports local charities. Even if you're not a world-class player, you can still give back to community. That's good to hear, Ali. So yeah, the sport, the clubs, the ethos is to welcoming environment for all demographics, all people, and it brings together. And in a way, when you get involved in such activity, you are doing a karma yoga, selfless action, isn't it? Any further on that, Vijay Bhai?
No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, if you're doing something selfless service to help others, I mean, sports is one of the biggest ways of helping children focus, not go on the wayside. Because listen, if you don't play sports, you don't take your kids to Sunday football, they're going to play video games at home. They're going to watch TV, right? So in effect, the people who are actually working with these children, they're doing an amazing service. The next generation of children going out will not grow up to be, having what do you call this RSI in their fingers, because they're being told to go out and there's somebody actually helping them. And by and large, the activities don't even cost much more. Some of them even free. So I think the parents want this. And if the volunteers are there, then parents will take these kids there. And it's a fantastic way. I think that karma, it may look like it. It may just see your kids playing. I think there's a huge karmic seva there. It's not just kids playing sport. It's taking them away from other things, other vices, other issues. And not only that, if you notice one thing, I think I read an article recently that in the morning, if you do half an hour exercise, the next 3 hours, you're much more highly focused. The body is, much more trained, and your body feels better, because even when I run, when I lose all the salt from my body and sweat it out, it feels so good. So even doing a little bit of exercise gets the kids afterwards to activities in a much more focused manner. So I'm really glad that, the volunteers are doing this kind of activity for kids. It's not just sports, but it's multiple extra benefits, not visible, much more subtle, but they're there. And that is fantastic, I think. Yeah. Sita?
Yeah, no, I think it's incredible. I think one of the things that we have to look at is anything which makes you feel like not just limited to your small self. Anything that expands you is something spiritual, because it's connecting you to the wider community and connecting with, at a deeper level spiritually. So anything that makes you feel small and mean about myself is probably not very helpful. Anything that which makes you feel like you forget yourself, you just feel so connected with what you're doing and connected with the people that you're playing the sport with, that that's a wonderful sort of spiritual experience. Because it doesn't even have to be sport. Even if you, like, for example, read a book and you're so engrossed in the book, you forget yourself. You forget that I'm this little person sitting here reading a book. You're so engrossed on the subject matter of your book. And then you look up at the time and suddenly, like, 2 hours have gone and you're like, where did the time go? It's that amazing feeling where you feel so sort of engrossed in that activity, whatever it is, that you just feel so spiritually uplifted. So anything that takes you away from connecting with my small, mean vision of myself is probably not right. But anything that makes you feel so focused on something greater is a beautiful spiritual experience at the end of the day.
That's very wonderfully put, Sita-Ben. So as Vijay and Sita-Ben has said, sports is really good. It makes one healthy and uplifts one. And we'll rest this topic for now and move on to general Q&A. First question for the day is from Susma Priya. She's saying, what does it mean if we see God in dreams? Sita-Ben?
That's probably a very wonderful thing, to be able to see God's in the dreams. It means that, God is on your mind, but it could also be some kind of connection that you have with the higher realm. Who knows? I mean, people often say, obviously, you have to believe only what you want to believe. And, Hinduism is one of those things that we never impose any ideas on anybody. But they say that especially if you have these amazing visions in the early parts of the morning, say 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, then that's a sign that it could be a connection from a higher realm, because in Hinduism we recognize that the physical realm that we are existing on is not the only realm. There are other higher realms which are not made of matter. You know, they're higher beings. We call them devas in Hinduism, so the shining ones, basically. So if you are able to have a connection with that higher realm, then you are incredibly blessed. So see it as a real blessing, and hopefully it can motivate you on your spiritual journey to maybe have, you know, more interactions with higher beings, because you know, they can be like your guardian angel. They can help you in your day-to-day activities. If you're going through a difficult time, you can look up to them and say, help me, guide me, and they may be able to guide you. Who knows? We don't know. But it's just something that's, you know, an idea that's present in Hinduism. If you want to accept it, accept it. If you want to think that it's just because God is on your mind, then accept that as well. So it's whatever you feel most comfortable accepting, I guess. Vijay Bhai?
I think, Sita, you've got it brilliantly. I got similar ideas as you do. But just to add one more point here, you'd be surprised that all the Vedanta acharyas also focus a lot, if you look at the scriptures and commentaries, on the idea of dreams. I know for one that Ramanuja accepts dreams as real, in the near real, in the sense of what you experience in the dreams, also molds you and guides you. And there's a lot of, there's some truth in that as per Ramanuja. So different acharyas have different ideas. But of course, if you think of God all the time, that's a good thing. You dream about him. So it depends on different views. Different Hindus have different views. Even different schools of thought have different views. But by and large, dreams are discussed quite heavily in the Indian scriptures. That's all I can add to that. Yes. Yeah. Manish Bhai,
No, that is wonderful to hear, Vijay Bhai. Very interesting about dreams, and how, you know, in Gnana Yoga, they talk about this dream world, the real world, the waking world, and
yes,
pull it
absolutely.
together to explain the idea of the
different states. Yeah.
The fourth one. We take what Sita Ben said about Devas. There's a question from Sri Cha. He's saying, sir, why do you think out of all the cosmos, why Devas choose only planet, Earth, planet, and human race to interact with? So I guess that's question to you, Vijay Bhai.
Okay, to be honest, I'll be honest with you, I do not know. But I don't even know if there are other planets where there's something similar happening, frankly speaking. And but I know that Devas actually have their own realms, like Indra is the Indralok, Brahmlok. So there are the realms as per the many of the scriptures we have. You know, even Puranic scriptures talk about all these different realms. But it is true that most of these scriptures say that to achieve moksha, you have to come in earth and achieve moksha. You can go and exhaust your good karmas on all these beautiful planets for 1,000 years, be a king or stuff. That's what the Puranic stories say anyway. But all I can say is I do not know if that's the only planet. But we are here in this planet, and we have a very wonderful chance to experience the divine. And I guess we make the most of it. But it's a valid question. I don't know if there's other planets. That's all I can add to that, Sita.
Again, I mean, we're not of that level, so we have no idea why, just to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, the Hindu scriptures do talk, as Vijay Bhai said, about, you know, the material world that we're living in now as being quite important in helping us to further our spiritual progress, because in a lot of these other realms, they're more like dreamlike states. So you're kind of living in a dream world which you are sharing with other people, like your ancestors and, you know, other people who have passed away. So it's more like a dream-like state, which is maybe a bit hazier than the sort of crass physical reality of our current world. So everyone, well, in our scriptures, they say coming back down to earth, the world that we know, is incredibly important to help further our spiritual progress, because this is where you do your good actions and progress further on your spiritual journey.
Wonderful answer, Sita and Vijay Bhai. So Ian Pridew has asked the question related to what Sita Ben just said. He said, thinking of reincarnation, does the team believe that we choose the body that we transmigrate into next, or is it automatically allocated, Sita Ben?
Yeah, I mean, because the only thing that comes with you from one life to the other is your character, the kind of personality that you've developed. And I mean, they do say that you do have some kind of a hand in deciding what kind of a family you are born into. So who knows? Maybe we do end up choosing our parents and we've just forget about it once we're born. Who knows? But then I'm also questioning that idea myself, because suppose you choose your parents and they turn out to be terrible parents, and maybe they do a lot of bad things. So would you choose that as your parents? So again, it's something that I'm questioning myself. I don't know. I wish we did know, but they do say that your character does shape and mold the kind of life that you are going to end up in. That's why we've put a lot of emphasis on the idea that your character is the most important thing, your greatest asset, the thing that will come with you into your next life and sort of plead on your behalf that you've been a good person and you should be born into a good family which can help you on your spiritual journey. But yes, a lot of questions, unanswered questions there as well. So who knows? We're not in that position to really know. Vijay, by your thoughts?
I think Sita, you have pretty much covered it. I mean, as Sita Ben mentioned, that it depends on the characteristics and qualities you have. You're bound to choose something, some kind of body like that, which helps you with the qualities that you want to do. And if you've got some sort of, desires left, you're going to choose a body to fulfill those desires. So in that way, you drive. But of course, if you ask me for empirical evidence, then of course we don't have that. It's just that this is what we have observed in that sense. Yeah. Next slide.
Okay, we got a nice question from Tirth Patel. He's saying, I'm a student. How can I be spiritual at the same time? I get restless easily. So, student life, they are very, especially once they get into teenage years, there's so many subjects to study and you have to focus a lot of time and energy on the study. Now, how can you follow spirituality at the same time? And how should you progress spiritually at student stage? Yeah, Vijay.
I would say one of the biggest things, do sports, do a lot of nice intense sports to kind of look, as Manisha mentioned, you have a lot of energy at that youth level. You're busting with energy, strength, all that. Use it in a kind of a way to focus, develop your mind, build your body, build your mental strength. And this is not me saying it, this is Vivekananda saying it, right? So do all that, and then slowly, you will actually gain focus. Because once you're tired and you rest a bit, you'll be surprised. Sometimes you may fall asleep for half an hour. When you wake up, you'll be in fresh mind and you kind of focus on something. So in that sense, I would say it'll be difficult for you to just sit down. If you sit down and say, okay, now I'll do half an hour puja, you'll know at 5 minutes you start getting, it's restless, right? Go into something intense, something focused and disciplined. I think that's one of the things I can offer for students. Sita Ben?
Yeah, no, I think you've covered it amazingly. Just you need somewhere to sort of channel your energy, basically. And I think because the spiritual journey is so incredibly personal to you and your temperament, you have to try out a load of things, different kinds of sports or art or music or whatever it is that you feel like attracted to. See which one suits your temperament and focus your energy on that. So anytime you think, I'm really fed up of studying, go to music, go to cricket, go to swimming, whatever it is, and you'll feel sort of refreshed and charged up because it's an activity that you feel a resonance with. So it can actually give you that boost because, as we were saying, when you are so engrossed in a particular activity, even though you may be physically tired at the end of it, you feel emotionally and spiritually uplifted. And with that feeling of upliftment, you can then sort of go back to your studies and feel uplifted as well. So it can hopefully infiltrate into your studies and have a really positive effect. Hopefully, you just have to find your way, your endeavor, which is best for you.
That's wonderful answer, Sita Ben Vijay. I do agree with you. When I was student, I used to play a lot of cricket and the sports and focus when I used to study as well. And that helped me focus on my studies. And I felt, I always did well, although I believe I was playing a lot of other things as well. And I believe this should work. So try that, Tirth Patel. We take the next question from Susma Priya. She's saying, how do we know we have God's grace on us? Sita Ben?
Well, if you believe in Advait philosophy, we are God. So, that's the greatest blessing, is to understand that we are that spirit and that God. And, whenever people sort of are in a difficult time in their life, they may want to turn to external God, say, God, please help me, please help me. But actually what it really is you're channeling your own inner strength and putting it out there to a personalized God, saying, give me this strength to get through this difficult time, or whatever it is. It's actually your own personal strength, because you are the spirit, you're essentially God yourself. So just feel blessed in recognizing that you are the spirit. All the power is within you. So whenever you feel difficulty, don't feel that you need to look up to an external God, because that external God is actually inside you. So feel strong within yourself without having to feel dependent on an external personality. So it's a wonderful, empowering message which we have at the heart of Hindu philosophy, and it can really guide us through very difficult times in our life. Vijay Pai?
So I think, Sita, you're very right. I mean, ultimately, it's inner graces, that's what they call it, right? Which you can use to improve yourself. But I mean, I know there are some traditions like some of the Dvait traditions. They believe that God's grace is always on you, not only regardless of what your situation is, to try and help you improve yourself. But one thing we have to keep in mind, unlike the Abrahamic faiths, God's grace will not pull you to, they call it salvation, obviously. Moksha has to be self-driven. Keep that in mind. It has to be you who makes the effort. Because by and large, in Abrahamic faith, they say that if you accept God, Jesus Christ, or whoever, he will pull your hand out and pull you out. And the irony is that no matter how good you are, if you don't accept his grace, then you don't go to heaven. It's really bizarre, because no matter how much pious, but Hinduism is totally different. There's God's grace on you to try and always encourage you and help you to get better all the time. Or inner grace, as Siddha mentioned, same thing. But ultimately, to get moksha, it's on you. Keep that in mind. You have to work out good karmas and go through the cycle and improve yourself. Yeah. Manish bhai?
It's wonderful to hear, say, Sita and Vijay Bhai. I would say, if you believe in Dvaita and God, and if you have devotion, then you already have that grace of God through that devotion. So, and you said God in the dreams. So I believe you are quite, the grace is already there. Wonderful. We take next question from Utsav, saying, can you explain the concept of Vamachar?
Yeah. Okay, don't know much. What little I know is Vamachar is the heterodox, beliefs in Hinduism. So a bit like tantric side, in the sense that not the orthodox. Orthodox means what the norm follow. Now, what I would say is that any ideas you follow which are kind of Vamachara, means the left, I think they call it left-handed or something like that. You have to be very careful, because unless you're an intense spiritual person, if you go down that path, tantric path, whatever, doing extreme austerities or doing strange, awkward behaviors, then you have to be careful. You might go the wrong path and actually fall down, go in the negative path of spirituality. So you have to be very, very careful. I mean, you have to be extremely spiritual, kind of God-centered to actually try those kind of concepts. I mean, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa has done both tantric and, normal practices and successful. But by and large, I would say, that's my view, that try and follow normal path. Don't do anything strange or bizarre. I mean, you have, like we have these old Naga Bhavas and you go all these strange, and I think they're also doing some weird sexual practices. All these are like strange left-handed practices. I would say stay away from those practices. Unless you're internally spiritual, understand what those mean, those tantric practices. Just for the normal stuff, like, selfless action, the 4 pathways you follow, Gnan Marg, Bhakti. Stick to that, I would say. Unless you're intentionally spiritual, don't go that path. That's my view on that. Sita?
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. Doing these kind of left-handed pathways is maybe quite a risky way of making spiritual progress, because you could get waylaid and completely lose track of your spirituality. So it's best to probably stick with the more mainstream approaches, which are presented in like the Bhagavad Gita and all of that, all the different pathways to God, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raj Yoga, all of these wonderful pathways that we have. they are the mainstream pathways, and we have many examples of saints and prophets who have been successful in these pathways. So that gives us confidence that these are tried and tested pathways. It's not just airy-fairy. There is some real experience behind it. So that's probably the best way for the vast majority of people, I guess, because Hinduism is so incredibly broad and pluralistic that it incorporates such a range of different pathways of making progress, that it even includes a variety of left-handed pathways as well. But probably for the vast majority of mankind, it's best to steer clear of those and focus on the other ones.
Wonderful answer, Sitaben Vijaybai. We take the next question from Ravi Shankar Mathigatta Satyanarayan. He's asking, do we get references to homosexuality in Hindu scriptures? Is there any references, Sitaben?
So, I mean, in ancient sort of Hindu society, you may be surprised that actually, being gay or whatever was actually not considered a stigma at all. It was just very much a part of society, and people who were gay or whatever, they were very well integrated into society, and they called them the third gender in ancient times. And it's only because of these outside influences that this whole sort of stigma sort of infiltrated into our culture, that you should not be gay or whatever it is. So it's really important to remember that your gender orientation does not affect your ultimate sort of spiritual inheritance. Everyone is inherently spiritually divine, and everyone is beautiful. So whatever sort of orientation you have does not have any impact on your spirituality and how important you are as a human being. And it's really important to get away from all of these stigmas, all of these prejudices which have permeated society for hundreds of years. And I think society is starting to understand that through so many movements and campaigns, that actually it doesn't matter what race you are, what gender you are, what orientation you are, how you dress, whatever it is, you can do whatever you like in those senses, as long as it doesn't hurt or harm anyone. But everyone is essentially spirit. And it's wonderful that Hindu society had accepted that. But because of a number of outside influences, this stigma infiltrated our society in the way it did across a whole range of cultures around the world. Vijaybai?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Sita. I mean, regarding references, I think as you mentioned, I would say that so many Puranic stories, even in the Mahabharata, there's some characters who are not either man or woman, you see that. And Sita, as you mentioned, that mainly Titiya Prakriti. I mean, the Puranas, there are many examples, I believe, about this kind of, who neither male or female genders. But the key thing to remember here is that may be the case, but in the Upanishads, it doesn't matter. The gender is irrelevant. Your goal to moksha is very critical. Even in the Krishna, even Gita, Krishna, whoever he may be, if they approach me with devotion, I accept. Doesn't really matter. I think problem is, as Sita mentioned, we've been influenced so much by the Judeo-Christian Abrahamic traditions. We take that as part of a central kind of discussion with the religion. It is not in Hinduism. It's far down the scale. It's not something we can discuss about in terms of spirituality. I mean, even if you look at I believe there's some of the temples in India which have got erotic kind of sculptures, they're 2,000 years old. You'll be surprised, gay scenes as well. Actually, even if you read my Kama Sutra by Vatsayan, even he talks about this kind of relationships. So it's not something new. I mean, these are like really old times in India. And they were discussed openly. But by and large, I think the key thing to mention here is that these are kind of human physical practices. They nowhere reflect your spiritual goals or spiritual progress, which is kind of gender neutral, doesn't really care about gender. That's irrelevant in us. That's a key thing to make, key difference to make here, I think. Yeah. But yeah, it's another vast topic you can talk about. There's so many interesting things to discuss there. Anyway, Manish bhai, go on. Yeah.
Wonderful answer there, Sitaben Vijaybai. I've got a related question. So is Mohini Avatar a kind of example where Vishnu is as a woman to entice the Rakshasas?
Yeah.
And is Ardhanarishwar in a way related to that as well? Vijaybai,
I think the thing is about the Mohini is an example that Vishnu is both. He's gender neutral. Right? I mean, he's not only giving avatars as male, right? Even as half man, half lion, even as a fish, Matsya avatar. So Mohini is just one of many different avatars. So he doesn't make a distinction between, half man, half lion, man, fish. They're all seen as equally unique in that sense, right? Which is beautiful. Regarding the Ardhanarishwar, I think is showing the essence that every person is made of a feminine aspect and a masculine aspect. That's what we're trying to show. Actually, to be a whole person. You may be a male, like I'm a man, right? But I know that I have a lot of feminine qualities like love, compassion, tender, and I have strength. So, I mean, the thing is, the Ardhanarishwar figure is very, very nice to see that. In fact, God is encompassing everything. The idea of this timeless form as Brahman and the manifesting power, which is feminine. So all that is encompassed in one image of Ardhanarishwar. So I think I would see that kind of a spiritual level in this case. Yeah, Sita. Hi, Sita.
Yeah, I think it shows the beautiful egalitarian nature of, especially the. Yes, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I think what it does is it shows the beautiful egalitarian nature of the Shiva tradition, especially because Shiva tradition is very much focused on this idea of equality between male and female, whatever sort of group of people you're from, whatever, if you're an animal or, whatever part of the living kingdom you're from, it shows egalitarianism across whatever, all the sort of social divides that there are. So I think that's a beautiful contribution to Hinduism to have this, real sort of equality between the male and the female. And it doesn't matter what your orientation is, you are spirit at the end of the day. And we have to also remember in Hinduism, we have this idea of reincarnation. The soul is genderless. So sometimes there is a chance that, as you're jumping from one life to another, you are moving from a male body to a female body, and maybe the inclinations that you have from a previous life will affect the inclinations that you have in this life. And that's possibly the reason why we have these kinds of issues of gay and lesbian and homosexuality, is because we may be jumping from gender to gender between lives. And sometimes people may be confused. They may identify as both male and female, and that's okay as well. So whichever sort of orientation suits you is best for you.
That's wonderful to hear. We take the next question from Donald Trump. He's asking, is God the sum total of consciousness? Chitaben?
Yes. So actually, when you look at some of the definitions that Hinduism has about God, how to describe God, they have these ideas of Sat, Chit, Anand, for example. And Chit is the crucial one for this question, this idea of consciousness, because the wonderful thing about the nature of reality is that everything is, is a conscious observer essentially. And one of the amazing things is it really links in with what quantum physics is saying, because when there is a conscious observer, particles behave differently. So this idea of consciousness is sort of inherent in the universe. We're not saying that, consciousness is something that's sort of put into us. It's just the whole universe is of the nature of consciousness. And that's amazing that physics and science is also coming to a similar kind of realization. And it also makes you think when you look at the idea of neuroscience, because all of us intuitively seem to have an idea of what consciousness is. But then when you try and find a particular slice of the brain which is to do with consciousness, you can't find it. It's sort of everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So it's one of those metaphysical things that all of us intuitively know is there and is the very basis of the universe, according to ancient Hindu philosophy and also according to modern science. So it's a very, very fascinating topic. Vijay Bhai?
All I can add is one of the ways that people see God as kind of sum totalness of consciousness in that sense, right? So yeah, it's one way of looking at, I guess. I mean, the Advaita tradition, there is only one ultimate, reality. And we say it's Vibhu. Vibhu means, all pervasive in that sense. So you can see it in that context, I guess, yeah. That's all I can add to that, Manishma, yeah.
Wonderful. We take a next question from Amit. He's saying, who were Dasyus in Vedas? Dasyus in Vedas. Vijay bhai?
Okay, Dasyus, I believe, are the seen as the people who are the not spiritual side, the enemy side, in that sense. You know, the battle of the goodies and the baddies. There's a lot of stories like that. The Devas and Dasyus. I think Dasyus are seen in as the kind of people who are kind of on the Asura side in that sense. That's all I can say to that kind of idea. Yeah.
So, Vijay bhai, sometimes it's portrayed like people in the jungles, or when the caste people get involved, they say, okay, the people of lower caste will maybe seen as, or tribal people were seen as asuras. Would you agree, or Dasyus?
So that is true. Actually, even bigger than that, a lot of the Western scholars at one time would say that Dasyus are the non-Aryan dark-skinned people who are conquered by the Aryan. There is now bringing in kind of a warped idea of history and kind of superimposing on the Vedas. And so, because Vedas are written by the Aryans, they would call them Dasyus, which are the, the tribal tree worshippers or whatever you call it, forest people, the dark skin who are defeated because they are not the superior, inferior race. But I think I wouldn't go that far. I think just take it from the spiritual point. There's the good side which has to win and the dark side, which is, I would leave it there, but there is no evidence at all for this idea of Aryan and Dasyus as being the dark side, whatever, or the dark people, whatever. But that is something that a lot of scholars are into. But I think there's a lot of bias in them. We're talking about now the start of 19th century or 20th century. There's tremendous bias. There was so much seen from a Christian lens. So they got all these strange ideas. But personally, I just think it's dividing people into two groups. That's what I would say on that. Yeah. But valid point. There's a big debate on this going on. I know. Yeah.
Sitaben, do you have anything to add on that?
Yes. We always have, as humanity, as we sort of live in various groups and tribes, we always have a fear of the other, the person, the groups of people that we don't know, and we have a habit of sort of stereotyping them as, we are good and they are bad. And it sort of plays along with this idea that, we are like the gods and they are like the demons. And we have one of these stories which personify, good, the fight of good over evil. But in a sense, it's wrong to assume that the person of the other tribe is bad, but that's just human nature. We are fearful. We are not sure of what the other people are like. So we kind of show them in a bad light. And it sort of gets reflected in all of the sort of Hindu mythology that we have, and not even just Hindu mythology from around the world. You have this fight of good over evil. And, we always like it when the good people win. We want our side to win, and we like to associate ourselves as being with the goodies and those people with the baddies. But I think the whole purpose of human sort of development is that we sort of start to overcome those barriers that we have of the other, of those kind of groups of people, and say, actually, everyone is divine, because that's what Hindu philosophy is all about. Everyone and everything is divine, and we shouldn't let our fears about the other sort of affect our vision of the other.
Nisit bhai, over to you.
Fantastic. What a great session we've had. I mean, the connection between sports and religion has been really well explored by everybody. And I've had a lot of thoughts and a lot of comments from the viewers today. And for that, I'm very grateful, because we would not be able to do this without your contributions. The whole channel relies on the viewers contributing actively every week. And they have done so for the past many years, in fact. But to just end the call for today, I thought I'll share, because I see a lot of new people on the call today. I will share some of our usual resources. So if you are on Facebook, please do consider checking out our Facebook page. It's on facebook.com/Hindu Academy. You'll find our live videos here, plus a lot of other stuff that we do on the page here. We are also on Twitter. So we do live stream on Twitter. So if you're somebody who likes Twitter, please do follow us there. We are growing the channel. We are at 40,000 subscribers there, and we'd love your support on Twitter as well. We have our main website, which is hindu-academy.com. And over here, you can get the e-learning courses, these books, for free. Just download them. Got the primary school one, and you got the advanced one a little bit for GCSE. There are also links to the free e-learning course. The e-learning course, as you can see, almost 8,200 students. My goal is to get it to 10,000. I think we have a really good course. And if you're new to Hinduism, please do consider joining the course. And there's a lovely quiz at the end with about 100 questions that's going to test your knowledge thoroughly. A new channel that I'm trying to grow for the team here is on SoundCloud. And as you can see, we already have 477 tracks already uploaded onto SoundCloud. But the number of followers is very little. So if you enjoy audio, then please do consider following us on SoundCloud. It's just soundcloud.com/Hindu Academy. And these are basically the audios of the live streams. So that over the years, you'll find Jay Pai himself on the audios, myself, Manish Pai, and various other people. And now recently, obviously, Sitaben and Manish Pai as well. And there are very interesting topics that we have discovered or discussed, sorry, within these various calls, and you can follow along on audio as well. So with that, I thought I will bring this session to a close. I hope you've all had a fantastic week so far. And I just want to end by saying thank you to my team. Vijay Bhai, Manish Bhai, and Sitaben, you all do a fantastic job every week. And I think it's credit to you all that the viewers are enjoying the answers as well. So well done on the great job you guys are doing. Folks, thank you so much. And we will see you next week, same time, 2 o'clock UK time. Bye-bye for now.